We continue our series of reports on candidates who are filing for the upcoming 2018 election. We're joined today by Lee Duncan, who's throwing his hat into the ring for a seat on the Chelan County Board of Commissioners. Welcome to the program, Lee.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about you. I know who you are because we've met before. I think it was in one of the public hearings before the Chelan County Commissioners on the marijuana moratorium.
Correct, yeah. I've been to every one.
And you've been to every one of those as a grower. So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, and why it is you're seeking election to the board.
Sure. I moved my family here over a dozen years ago to work for Chelan County in the Natural Resource Department. I worked on watershed planning efforts as far as I was tasked in pulling all the stakeholders in the area together to work on a particular watershed. So there was the Stamilt Basin, the Wenatchee, and the Chelan, and as well as the Eniac. And so it was my job to coordinate and facilitate those groups and come to consensus by getting all their input, coming to consensus on how to not only manage our water resources into the future, but how to improve those. And so based on that input, we would put together a watershed plan. And then from there, that gave me the direction to go after funding, grant funding, to implement whatever it was. Was it whether it was improving irrigation efficiencies, improving streamside conditions, anything related to improving the water efficiency and improving water quality, fisheries, and that was not an easy task.
I was going to say it's no small feat to be able to bring all of these different, often competing stakeholder groups together in a collaborative method.
Right. And, it's not that we don't have enough water, it's that we don't have the water where we need it and when we need it. And so there are those competing interests. And let's face it, I mean, we would have every government agency you can think of involved because of their interests. And then we would have the irrigation folks and the orchard, and then just any, environmental groups, things like that. And when you're talking about water in this area, it's a contentious, issue. And when I first moved here, I moved here from Utah, where we had the same issue, but even less water. And the motto is "Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting."
Old Mark Twain saying.
Right, exactly. And so, but I feel that I was always able to bring the groups together, and I didn't do this all by myself. But like I said, it was my job to coordinate and facilitate those groups. And we were always able to come to consensus, because we know we're not always going to get what everybody wants. We can't do that. But through talking and understanding everybody's, not only their special interests, but their philosophies, we were always able to come to consensus and move forward with better managing our water resources here. That, let's face it, we live in a desert, It's an amazing transition area, but water is very valuable here. And like I said, I ended up writing millions of dollars worth of grant funding, and my focus was more on water quality and water efficiencies, and other folks in the department worried about salmon, things like that. What's good for one's typically good for the other. But my background is in working with farmers, ranchers. I worked a very similar job in Utah. And so my skill set is sort of bringing the group together, facilitating that communication, and then going after what the group wants,
Well, it's obvious that natural resources is your passion. It really has been your profession. How would you describe yourself in a fiscal sense in terms of your financial philosophies for the county going forward?
Well, I guess I would use the old adage, I'm fiscally conservative. I don't actually have very little, credit card debt, things like that. I actually think that's one of the things that I would focus on is how the county spends their money. Right now, they seem to be spending it on frivolous lawsuits, trying to shut local farmers down. And
You mean marijuana farmers?
Yes, marijuana farmers.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So. The association Central Washington Growers Association has spent over $150,000 on lawsuits with Chelan County. So imagine what they've spent of our money. You know, they're using our own money to fight us. And from day one, we've been at the table. You know, we were told to organize and self-regulate. That's exactly what we did. The farms that are not here because of Chelan County. They're here because the industry is self-regulating itself. I'm very successful in this industry, which is saying a lot right now. It's a bloodbath of an industry. I feel like, and that is in part because of my fiscal conservative nature. I had no dream that I was going to make $1 million a month. I sold my home. I continued to work full-time at Chelan County until my business was successful. So that means 70 and 80-hour weeks. They were very aware of what I was doing, and I was in business for years before they, you know, have taken that away. And back to the fiscal question, I operate with, you know, no debt, and I believe that the county can always do better with its spending. And I think it goes down to the sort of the bureaucracy that they've created at the county. You know, they need to get the right people in the right position, and they need to empower those people. That alone is going to get rid of some of the bureaucracy, which has a dollar cost to it. And so I think changing that mentality goes directly to reining in the spending and some of that frivolous nature of what they do, particularly with how they sort of fight us, our citizens. You know, I look at the county as they should be the first line of defense for the local citizens, because there's plenty of bureaucracy with the feds and the states.
Okay.
And I feel that the county needs to do a much better job of supporting its citizen rather than to regulate that. Again, code enforcement, it's all complaint driven here. That's a 1950s mentality, and it allows for divisiveness. Your neighbor's dog is pooping on your property, but he owns a business or he owns something that I can complain about. So that's how something gets started, where in a lot of other jurisdictions, it's code compliance.
Right.
Our code enforcement people cannot write a ticket. If they see a violation, they can't really address it without going through the prosecuting attorney's office. Again, how much does that cost us? You know, and so I think it speaks to that empowerment of that individual. You hired that code enforcement officer. You obviously feel that he has the skill set to deal with this position, but yet you do not empower him to actually deal with problems.
I see. Well, very good. Thank you for that response.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're kind of constrained by time here.
Sure.
I'm going to give you the last word here, Lee, on why people should vote for Lee Duncan for Chelan County Commissioner, District 2.
Sure. I think as the candidates are starting to be known, I think people will see that I'm the only candidate that has worked for the county already for almost a decade. Not only did I work for the county and its citizens, I worked for the county employees. I was a union rep. I represented all the county employees during union negotiations. I sat in and was part of dispute resolution committees when there was a problem between a union employee and their manager. So, and plus my experience with literally my job for 10 years and even prior to that was bringing people together, bringing diverse stakeholders together.
So you see dispute resolution as one of your strengths?
Yes, yeah, sure,
Okay.
exactly. And I feel like that I will be the only candidate with the most practical experience. I've been at the county. I've been away from the county for a few years now, but to be honest, I am probably more involved with the county. I speak to their employees every day, current and former, and I have a very good sense of what needs to be done. And I feel that I will be the only candidate that can say that. And I think you see with you know, having a decade plus of the same board, that now we have Commissioner Overbay as the newest one. And I think we are finally starting to see a few things, particularly when it goes towards the employees. There was an employee appreciation week last week. So I feel getting that new blood in there, but somebody that already that will not have a learning curve. I feel Mr. Overbay has probably had a 17, 18th month learning curve. You don't get that with me. I can go in there day one and I know the adjustments that need to be made.
The turnkey candidate.
There you go.
Okay.
Lee is for me.
There you go. Lee Duncan seeking your vote for the position of District 2 Commissioner serving Chelan County. Thank you for joining us, and I'm sure that for more information, of course, you can see this interview on our website at ncwlife.com, and thank you very much and good luck going forward.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Steve.
Steve Hare, NCW Life News.